So I start my days with putting some water to heat up to prepare my mate. Super excited to be sharing finally my quick 5 minute movement routine. So I start, as I said, warming up some water. That give me at least 5 minutes to go and move my body. I try to go outside and I always start with my feet. The first drill that I do is just lifting the big toe. Just the big toe. I try to keep the whole foot grounded. And after that, I keep the big toe on the ground and I try to lift all the other toes. I do around 10 reps of just the big toe, 10 reps of the other toes on one foot, and then on the second foot. Maybe a little bit challenge at the beginning, but it's worth to start recovering the movement of the toes. After this, I may just roll the toes, okay, in flexion, a little extension, flexion, 2-3 reps just to bring some movement. My feet tend to get a little stiffer overnight, so I like to get them going before starting the day. I do what is called the short foot. That is kind of like grabbing or trying to grab the ground. It's better explained when you're thinking of bringing the ball of the foot closer to the heel and trying to get the intrinsic foot muscles to turn on. I'll do 4 or 5 reps on one side and then the same on the other one, holding for just a few seconds. And now I go and I start moving the spine. I like to use something as a reference. Here I'm using the rack and I try to move segmentally all my spine. This one, I go for at least 20 reps. It feels really good in the morning to me to move all the joints. And then I go for my infinity signs or figure eights. Here it seems like I'm moving my shoulder, but I'm focusing on starting the movement from the thoracic spine. Maybe a little bit tricky at the beginning, but it's another of those patterns that's worth to practice and try to recover. Then I go for some lateral flexion of the spine. Nothing crazy, I start small. All this, when I do this routine, it gives me a good idea of where I am today or that day. It makes me realize how I feel after whatever I did the day before. It's a good way to keep track of how we're feeling, help me discover some areas. Here I'm doing a little bit of flexion and rotation, mostly at the trunk. I try to keep the pelvis forward, feet grounded. Okay, I don't force, I just explore, easy movement. I do about 10 reps, so 5 on each side. The same when I did the lateral flexion, that is normally 5 and 5. I start from a smaller to maybe a little bit bigger. Then I go and I do some hoof flexion, okay? And then I reach up and I create a little bit of extension of the spine too. So I round, I try to move all of the vertebrae and then reach up, maybe open up the chest. This one I do somewhere from 3 to 5 reps. Always breathing, nice and easy. And then I move into the pelvis hip complex. I start with some circles. Of this one, I do around 5 on one direction and then 5 on the opposite direction. Nothing crazy. Again, I try to keep the feet grounded. Then I may go side to side, shifting the pelvis from one to the other side. Hinges, okay, move the hips, feel a little bit of the hamstrings. And then again, that pattern, the infinity of figure 8. I did it earlier with thoracic spine and now also with the pelvis. And then I finish, we're almost there. I finish with a couple deep squats. It's nice if I have something to hold on to. I start assisted, checking in, how I'm feeling, how the squat is looking. It's funny when you start paying attention how every day the body feels a little bit different. And then because I have the chance, then I go and I do a little bit of hanging just to bring the arms overhead, activate the shoulder blades, And then I'm gonna go and check the water because that's probably ready by now. 5 minutes. See, there's a lot of things that we can do in just 5 minutes. I do this every morning. This is my routine. Let me know if you have questions and if you have your own routine or if you would like to maybe do something similar.